Well, the great question is, if God exists, why not in person, in body form, in clear evidence that we may live our lives according to the reality of His presence? And my response is because then we would not be free to act other than according to whatever expectations we might have that this presence imposes upon us. In terms of some traditional religions, that He has the power of heaven and hell and so on. We, in short, would be forced to conform to some expected behavior. And that might not be the purpose of this creation from God's point of view. He may, for instance, specifically want us to experience some of the things we long for, to find out the truth of the matter, that really it's absurd to value such things compared to, well, for argument's sake, what He values from His perspective and point of view, which we as children, so to speak, do not have a grasp of at all. So this universe presents then as a school or a classroom in which we come to understand, you could say, the folly of our ways, but that our childish aspirations and values are not appropriate for mature, happy, fulfilled, abundant, eternal life. And the school, therefore, schools us, trains us to become fit for such wonderful life, which pictorially is presented as part of His glorious host of heaven, His family, in all perfection, fellowship, love, and fullness of being. So in the school, the headmaster is somewhere there, but he's a very distant Victorian headmaster in that sense. We have interaction with the teachers, but not with the boss. And to be sent to the headmaster, of course, was fear and trembling, because you just knew he had all power. But as children, in our innocent way, we are not mindful of that all the time. We are simply aware of the lessons that are going on. And you could say, like children, we're not always terribly keen to be taking part in the lessons, but the lesson presses on even so. So in summary, we are free by the absence of the physical appearance of God to experience the lessons in life from our own valuing, our own valuation point of view, not, at least in large measure, not forced into a conformity to an understanding that even teachers have. You know, in our own society, we tend, where there are such freedoms, to live according to the way our values lead us. And society may impose upon us certain laws, which are presented as being based on certain ethical structures. But the legitimacy of such in our hearts can be questioned because we don't have the certainty of what we would have if God were present physically and clearly with us to declare what ultimate values really are or should be, as he understands it in his wisdom. And we may not, and we may also presume that the teachers are not that clued up either. So where we can, we live, we do it our way and find out the consequences and learn accordingly. Now that may present as severe or not. It may be that it's a very progressive, liberal type school that we're in that allows us all sorts of freedom and, well, perhaps what we might view as quite chaotic. Or it may be quite a strict sort of school regime where we're pulled up often and hauled over the coals, so to speak, for not keeping rules that are being imposed upon us. Either way, we will be learning from such circumstances. Both about freedom, our desire for it, and authority, and constraints that can have upon us. In short, we experience living amidst good and evil, and to put that colourful gloss upon it. And our values adjust accordingly. In other words, what we value and desire and reject and abhor is a consequence of our experience in handling such good and evil circumstances. Oh, and not just the experience, but also such teaching as we are receiving, valid or invalid teaching, all has an impact upon us and our reaction accordingly. Thank you, Dad.